pleased to introduce Ms. Stacy Pearsall.
Let me just get my sidekick situated.
Charlie, sit.
I don't know if he knows that we're talking about him.
You know how fabulous you are?
High five.
Good job. Okay, now.
He takes his time.
Good. Okay, stay.
You got this? All right, he's got it. He's gonna hold down the stage for me. How excited are y'all? Seriously? Amazing, right? Okay. President Rosa, General Rosa, Dr. Rosa, you got a lot of titles. Thank you. And thank you so much to the Board of Visitors, all the faculty, the staff, the family and friends who are here supporting these amazing class of 2018 class. I mean, I'm honored to be here and that you chose me to share and celebrate your incredible feat and most importantly, your perseverance. I think most of you know me as General Rosa described, former combat photographer, and some of you know me as Miss Stacy, advocate for the arts at the Citadel. But a lot of you don't know actually who I was prior to being either of those things. It's a journey, you know, and the journey that shapes us is actually, in my opinion, almost more important than the destination. You know this because each and every one of you have had a journey that brought you here today, to be in this very seat for this very special day. So I hope you'll humor me, that I may share with you that journey prior to my military life. It'll be the abridged version, I promise. I don't want y'all here all day. Okay. So it was 1980-something. My mom, my sister, and me, we crammed everything we had into a car and fled Chicago in the middle of the night. Our exodus was a long time coming, as my mom bore the hands of abuse from my stepdad for many years. It was only when he turned his violence on my sister and me that things changed. Our escape wasn't an easy one, you see. He controlled the money, he controlled us, and being under the age of 10, I felt like he controlled the world. What he didn't know was that secretly my mom was saving money, and when she had enough, we made our way west to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, only to spend the summer on the cramped attic floor of my uncle's house, procuring food from the local food bank, only to survive. It was something so humbling that I'll never forget. And if you ever had government cheese or pork in a can, you'll know why. Something that stuck with me during that time was in the grocery store, I could feel the judgmental eyes of the woman behind us as my mom handed over the food stamps for the groceries. And I thought to myself, would this woman have judged me so harshly had she known all that we'd been through and what we had just survived? But her look and her judgment made me feel an emotion that took me a long time to get over. Shame and embarrassment. And as we walked back to the car, I recall just staring at my feet, hiding my face from view. And as we buckled into the car, my mom turned to my sister and me and she said, "Girls, never judge lest you be judged. This welfare, this support we're on is a hand up, not a handout, okay? When I find a job, I'm gonna get off welfare, we're gonna get a house, we're gonna go on our own, we're gonna be okay." She did. My mom found a job and often volunteered to work double shifts so she could afford to put food on the table, clothes on our back, and rent a house, which she filled with second and third-hand furniture. It wasn't much, but it was ours. And my mom taught me an important lesson, my sister and I both, that we may not have much, She'd lecture to us, but it'll be clean. We didn't see my mom a lot that year or the years that followed, and it forced my sister and I to become more independent and to fend for ourselves. I suppose that's why we both gravitated to military service. She got the jump on me and joined the Air Force, and they assigned her as an A-10 crew chief, an occupation they'd never offered to a woman prior to her. The guys in that profession weren't too pleased to be part of that social experiment, and I remember spending Christmas with my sister while she was on holiday break. She told me about that first day of school where she was met by an instructor who told her that he had no intention of passing her had he had anything to do with it. Obviously, he didn't know my sister, because that was just the audacious kind of statement she was looking for to find the motivation to persevere. She did. Not to be outdone, 6 months later, I enlisted in service, but I'm not much of a wrench turner. I'm an artist. So I wanted a profession that was going to foster the creativity in me. In the Air Force, I had 3 options. I wasn't going to be a fighter pilot, sorry. I could be a photographer, a graphics designer, or a videographer. At 17, I was young and impatient, like threw the dice, whichever opened up first. Luckily, it was photography because I fell in love with that profession and loved every minute of it. After a brief stint in intelligence, which, sorry all you intel military people, to me that's an oxymoron, I'm glad you guys get me. I actually applied for a position at Combat Camera, right here in Charleston, South Carolina. There was one position open, and it was coveted by everybody, and it seemed like everybody and their brother was applying for it. People 10 times with more experience, and 100 times, in my opinion, more talented. So honestly, I didn't think they would choose me. But they did. And after that, my career flourished. I traveled 280 days a year, documenting the military story in over 41 countries. I served alongside Army infantry, Navy Seabees, Marine Corps pilots, and Air Force pararescuemen, and everybody in between. The Air Force sent me to college. I graduated through specialty courses and even became aerial qualified in the process too. Man, I was living the best life ever, and I was at the top of my game. I earned medals and even the illustrious title of Military Photographer of the Year. Twice. Thank you. You know what? All that aside, it wasn't a life without challenges. I faced down discrimination and sexual harassment. I gave up a lot of time that I may have spent with my family watching my nieces and nephews grow. And I even gave up those critical years that I may have started my own family. Tragically, I lost a lot of friends who were killed alongside me during combat, and eventually mourned my own career after being hit by a roadside bomb in Iraq the second time. After being medically retired from service, it felt to me as if I had nothing left to look forward to. But I did. You, like my mom, like my sister, and like me, have been on a journey fraught with numerous challenges, I imagine. Some you might have succumbed to, but I guarantee and I hazard a guess, many you've overcome. In my opinion, these challenges we face aren't simply life's lessons in suffering, but rather I think that they're meant to challenge our fortitude so that we may better be prepared for the other challenges that we face further down the road. And also, what's more important is how we may positively impact somebody along that journey in the future through our examples and our actions. like my mom. Despite only having a GED, my mom went on to manage a business, a successful one, raised two relatively well-adjusted young women, and was an inspiration and a motivator for countless domestic violence survivors. If you want to know who influenced me to be the strong woman I am today, she did. And my sister, despite all odds, broke through that glass ceiling and paved the way for women to come behind her to be part of all occupations in the military without limitation. She has left an indelible mark on military history. If you wonder who has inspired me to join the service in the first place and to stick it out when I wanted to quit, she did. You see, I always thought the military was my final destination. It turns out that that was simply another lesson in perseverance, another path on that journey to my final destination. I'd focused so long on all the things I had given up, but what I'd not realized is how much I gained in the process. The tragic loss of my friends in combat provided me a deeper appreciation for the life I have. And I endeavor to live the fullest life I can in honor of them. And though I never had a family in the traditional sense, I was lucky enough to marry a man whose two children I think of as my own. And though my life's aspirations of being a lifer in the military were cut short, I endeavor to continue to serve my community, just out of uniform. When my journey on this earth nears its end, I would like to look back and know that I offered a handout, that I offered a hand up and not a handout, and that I never judged anyone lest I be judged, and that, like my mom and my sister, I met every challenge head on. And then, when it's all over, and they're standing at my grave and they ask, did she touch someone's life in a positive way? They'll say, she did. Many of you, if not all of you, have established careers. You have, obviously, family. So that means you sacrificed a lot on the journey to be here. If you aren't already, you'll go on to be exemplary leaders in your chosen professions. Each and every one of you are going to have the opportunity to touch someone's lives in a positive way. Think about that. And when faced with life's inevitable challenges, remember this. Who was the one that stayed up late doing homework after working a full day shift? You did. Who gave up the weekend to write those grueling papers? You did. Who successfully completed their education from the Citadel Graduate College? You did. Congratulations, class of 2018. You did it.